headquarters on a daily basis. Hakuna mtu alikuwa anamkubalisha kuingia pale ndio aende apply pay bill. Na hiyo time pay bill ilikuwa inachukua 2 weeks to a month. Guys, we occupied this court, this street of X back then, with a lady called Shefa Okore. And we called for her justice. And do you know what Safaricom did? They paid about 300,000 as an apology to Josephine. And from that day onwards, pay bills were acquired within 24 hours of applying in a cyber. And that's how we broke that bureaucracy in Kenyatta National Hospital. Josephine got alikuwa anaenda hapigi laini. Why? Because of the chemo. It was tough on her. And she died, and she knew she was going to die. So guys, how many Josephines are we going to tangia here online? Ndio muelewe makali ya what we decide to do that we mean it. Guys, the sacrifice that Morara Kebaso has made to be where he is shouldn't be watered down simply because he's ati unastuka unaitwa activist. So what? So what? Unaitwa and then na wenye waliitwa maumau sio watu na walipigania hii nchi. And in fact, they lived a very sorry life after coming out from the forest. Because some of them came back home and they didn't have homes. Where they called homes were relocated to other people. Guys, we are yet to heal from that trauma. So kwetu activism ni nini hiyo inakustua? Ni nini hiyo inakustua kwetu activists? Guys, you've seen how bad they have been to Bonnie. How bad wamemleta to his on his knees. Why? Because you disowned him when he was doing the right thing. And when he began to take the monies from I don't know who, tukaanza kusema he sold out. Why? Because you're disowning us by calling us activists. You're disowning us by failing to acknowledge our sacrifices and the kind of work we do, even before we know that we are doing activism. Mimi nilikuwa nafanya kazi kwa community, and I have not stopped doing it. I'm still working as a freelancer. Napata pay yangu hapa. I'm not employed, guys. I'm a mother of 2. I was abducted. Tuko pamoja. And on the other side, I still have impact in my community. Na bado sijaitisha kiti. Na mimi waambiwa niitisha kiti from 2013. Guys, I am a social person. I'm not just a politician. So be deliberate. Acheni kustuliwa na terminologies. They are media people. They are people I know. They are editors. They are scared because freedom of expression yo imechukuliwa. These people have come for Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And that is the freedom of communication. The freedom of expression. Kama wamekujia yao, sisi ndio tuko huku nje. Who should be defending the other? Who should be fighting for the other? Guys, we do not own the media and we cannot own it. And we can, if tukichanga tuseme we are starting our own. But you saw what they have done to Africa Stream. That Africa Stream, whatever, imeletwa chini. Why? Because it's communist. Me, I'm not a communist.
Beatrice, kindly try landing.
I'm landing right now. Is that Toria? I'm landing right now. I'm saying let us not be divided by semantics. To make sacrifices, and we are not ready to begin even counting them. Tukiamua, I actually thought on the second week of these demonstrations, we were going to Tahrir Square away. But what happened? Mulikubali akina Miguna wakuja wa impose the whatever's in X spaces because it was fashionable. Miguna speak big English here, call gas mwelewea, and kidogo before you realize it, the energy is gone. We are tired. So guys, we need to charge up. We need to charge and we need to occupy the streets. Article 37 and Article 1. Power belongs to the people. You and I, we are...
Thank you so much, Beatrice, for injecting that knowledge. And indeed, yes, as all of us here, we are activists. We are activists for change. We are activists for governance, accountability, transparency. So I can't agree more. KD.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, KD.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, first of all, for everyone. KOT, thanks for the good work. Toria, Foundation, the rest. Everyone who's feeling this emotional moment. I always say this, and I'll just keep this as my tagline. I'm only on this space because of you. And the only reason I speak is because I'm related to you because of my nationality. I'm Kenyan because of you. I don't know you. I will never see you probably. that we bleed the same colors, and your problem is my problem. So, Fabish has asked me a very funny question of what I mean, but let me start by saying this. Human beings will live on habits, and habits are very hard to break. The reason why we point our finger so much to our parents is because they got suppressed into a certain way of life, which means you wake up, do this is what you give, and this is what you get. If you don't do this, you don't get this. And that is why we've had this oppressive way of governance in Kenya for the longest. Whatever is happening now is not new. It's a system that has been in place. The only reason why we are so vocal right now is because we have a constitution that allows us to do what we are doing. The one thing I would want to just emphasize on is we keep on saying Ruto is a madman. But honestly, he's not a madman. He's a smart con man. That we are talking about shift today, this guy is 10 steps ahead of us. We are having our meeting here today. They are planning on the next loot they are going to make. When he got in power, he had already said he's going to change the education system, the health system, and all the systems that actually, whatever. The only thing is, I don't think he has a good plan on how he intends to change the systems. So with that being said and done, and with all that everyone has shared, because we all have great minds and we think towards the same direction, this is my thinking. First of all, I ask myself, how did we get here? And the problem is me. Why? Because I made the choice, and choices have consequences. And I'm living an aftermath of the choices I made. When I say I mean all of us. Whatever choice you make will affect me. Whatever choice I make affects you. So we have to speak one language. You have to be on the same page for us to be able to know which direction we're going. Now, we've tried doing it the democratic way. They still. We've tried going on the streets. They abduct, they kill, to a point that now they even sodomize. And the only reason they have power is because of one thing called money. How do they get this money? They get money from us. Why? By the remittance we do by of the revenues they collect from the citizens of the nation. So what I'm just thinking is, first of all, I'm so pissed at this Safaricom company because I never saw in any of the clauses where I signed with Safaricom for them to indulge themselves in my personal life, health, security, banking, and whatever. We're just talking about shift right now, but I think it's I can't remember the name of this PS who has a very funny name, who said anyone who borrowed money, they are getting money that you owe from your own M-Pesa balance without consultation. I don't think that is right. Even if you're supposed to do that, at least send a message. Like when you have Fuliza, they say you owe us ABCND, your money has been deducted through ABCND. Now this thing has gotten to a point whereby you're just like looking at your phone and then a message comes on, and all of us have seen what is happening. I don't think there's anyone who had given Safaricom the consent to go ahead and sign and say, I'm willing to even dial that *147#, which is not something I believe anyone should do. So, that being said and done, the only sentiment I would like to share is this. And it's very difficult because I even spoke to a friend of mine and he said, man, it's so hard because most of our mamas and our mamambogas depend on M-Pesa for them to do transaction. Why? Habits. If somebody tells you to do without a phone for a day, can you do it? If somebody tells Fabish not to have a Tusker for a week, is it possible? You know, the likes of Wangari Maathai went for 11 days without food, naked. It's the price you pay for what? Sacrifice. Now, the only language this government will understand is for them to remember that the power is in the people. And we give them the power by being so much loyal. And imagine this is only a 10-15% of the nation that actually remits taxes. I've said this thing around 2-3 weeks earlier on, but now people are coming out, and I like even the way Okia Omtata has put it and said, taxes, period. You know, so these companies, if you try to research and find which is the main economy of the country, is the top 10 companies, Akina Equity Bank and the likes, etc., etc. These are the people we have to target. But the question is, are you really willing to migrate from your bank account? Are you willing to shut down your Safaricom line and get another line? Are you willing to drink tea without milk? Is it possible for you to drink tea without bread and go for gouaches? Or are you going to say, I'm not used to this kind of a lifestyle? That is where we have to sit down and say, the price I have to pay for sacrifice. Rex lost his life on the streets because he had said, whatever happens, I have to go and fight for what I feel is right. The problem is, not all of us have that kind of a muscle or nerve in us. And I think I'll just leave it at that, because it'll take a little bit of more sacrifice, self-sacrifice, for you to see that the choice you make will directly impact my life. You know, I don't have to use a line for a certain company for me to make phone calls and make any transactions. There are other options. This rogue regime that has so far now devised a scheme for them to get money from us without even our consent, forcefully, now we'll be able to show that we are the ones who control the economy. Lastly, I've spoken about this a couple of times and I just want to sensitize it. I'm a millennial. Gen Zs are crying right now because most of them do not have jobs. Millennials, tulijitafutia kazi. You know, when I hear my sister who spoke with Beatrice speak, I'm also a journalist, but I had to quit because for me it wasn't translating. I didn't see the need of it. And thankfully, just by God's grace, I had to pursue and look at it from a different perspective. Ukienda tao, do your research. Enda uangalie wala wase uduvi banda, the stalls in town. Ask them what age they are. Most of them fall between the Gen X's, the late Gen X, and mid-millennials. The music industry, entertainment industry in Kenya, 99% of them are millennials. What am I trying to say? Most of these generations have been trying to provide jobs for themselves. The only unfortunate thing is the regime we have right now does not support the generation in place for them to actually keep the whatever going. And unfortunately, these self-sustained businesses will always look at the Gen Zs who go to demonstrate and say, how wanatuharibia kazi zetu? We want to go and open our stalls in town. These demonstrations are making us shut down our businesses. I want to go and do ABC and D. These guys with the noise they're making is affecting my business. When Adani took JKIA, go and look at the people who are saying no, they have to go. It's the middle class. And what happened? In less than 7 hours, the pinch was felt. So I'm calling out on all the middle class. And it's a very big generation because it cuts from all the way from Gen Z back, maybe all the way back the baby boomers. It's a very big whatever. And it's a lubricant that runs the economy of a country. If we could just decide and say for one time, enough is enough. Imagine we don't have to see people being shot, people being abducted, people being sodomized. You don't have to talk to any member of parliament. You don't have to post and say Ruto is ABC and D. It is your money. It is your funds. It is yours. You decide and say, I'm not paying my rent because I don't have money, as long as my neighbor will do the same thing. And your landlord will come to you and say, Mimi sina pesa. They will not go to sue you because everybody says there's no money. We will transform what is happening in the country right now. The problem we have is somebody will say, I don't have rent, the other person pays rent. Somebody will say, let me not use M-Pesa to send my money, the other person does it. Guess what? We are still giving this government a muscle to do what? To just suppress everyone. If we say we're not drinking, all of us should not drink. It would not go for more than 7 days without us seeing a transformation in this economy. But SHIF forever is just a scheme to collect money. I'm sorry. NHIF is being closed. We are not being told what the closing balance is. Elections are last year ziki happen, 40 billion zilipotea tu hivyo. We've not been told anything about that money. So the question we should be asking ourselves is, are we really being honest with what we are doing? Are we being responsible as me to save your life and look at you and say, you'll have a better tomorrow? I beg to leave it at that, and thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, KD.